I'm Bob Stoops. I'm taking time out each week to visit with some friends and colleagues in the sports world and get caught up and share some stories. My first guest here today is Urban Meyer, a longtime head football coach. I guess I'm going to start from the beginning, Urban. Started off as played at Cincinnati. I'm guessing you were a safety like I was.
Yeah, not as good, but yes.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know about that. But anyway, and then the head coaching career goes from Bowling Green to Utah to the Florida Gators to the Ohio State Buckeyes. Urban has a 54 or a 84%, a lot different than 54%, 84% win percentage, the highest of all, I believe, active coaches. But anyway, been a longtime friend, now part of the Big Noon Kickoff Show, pregame show. You see, I'm wearing uniform today, Urban.
Yeah, it looks great on you.
Yeah, I had my stint with it for a year and absolutely loved it. But I know you're getting ready for a big game this weekend in Boulder with Colorado State. But welcome to the show, Urban. I appreciate you taking the time to visit with us.
I respect you so much, and you're a great fan. I'd do it anytime.
Well, it'll be fun. It'll be fun. Let me start with you and I. You know, things traditionally have changed in the college football world. The way people recruit, NIL money, transfer portals. You can change an entire roster in a year, kind of like Colorado's done this year. What's your take on where this is all going? My opinion, it's heading towards a pro model of the way the pros handle their staff and how they handle their rosters.
You know, I always try not to be that old guy that says back when I was younger and how much different, how much better, because I still think it's great. I think we're in Boulder, Colorado. We're going to witness history. We witnessed it last week when here's Deion Sanders takes over a program. It was a historically bad program. Colorado last year was 1-11 and not even close in their games. He comes in and says, quite honestly, really what a lot of coaches have wanted to say for many years and get rid of everybody. But you weren't allowed to do that. Now you are. And he has 87 new players. I went and watched him practice, Bob, 3 weeks ago. I walked out, and I like Prime. I've known him a long time. There's the perception, and then there's reality, what kind of guy he is. I'll tell you what, he's very much like Bob Stoops. He's very much like myself. He's very disciplined. He believes in running a tough program. He old schools those players now. I mean, I was at practice and like, my gosh, he jumps into them. But there's a lot of respect there. He hired an excellent coaching staff, and then of course he's brought some really good players in there. So to take a 1-11 team, go beat TCU on the road, and they'll win. They'll go 500 or better if they stay healthy. They have zero depth. If they lose some players, especially that quarterback, because they just don't have much depth. But it's very different now, to answer your question. But I'm not here to say it's all bad. I mean, I enjoy watching it, and there's some bad, there's some good.
It's still a great product, and I'm with you on Colorado, Coach Prime. I was very interested to watch how it was going to turn out. But when you go into that game, first game, only 6 penalties. Shadur, his son at quarterback, no interceptions, 5 TDs, over 500 yards. I don't think they had a fumble. If they did, maybe one. But bottom line, that's some good coaching and good team discipline right there to play in your first game that way on the road.
And I wanted to go see that, you know, and I know you'd agree with us, that your best teams had your best group of coaches too.
Yeah.
And obviously, your players, that's by far the most important. But the best teams I've ever had, I had 9 coaches that were monsters. All 9 were on point. And then quite honestly, when I didn't have my best teams, we didn't have our best staff. He hired a guy, Charles Kelly from Alabama. He actually coached my son-in-law who knows him and loves him. I spent time, sat in his meetings. He's running the defense. And then a guy named Sean Lewis, who I'm really impressed with, was the head coach at Kent State University, who actually won. That's a hard place to win. Won some games there. And I'm on Big Noon this week. I'm going to talk about the perfect marriage between a coordinator and a player. Shadur Sanders is built for this RPO world. I mean, he gets the ball out fast. He's effortless in the way he throws. Very smart distributor of the ball. And that fits exactly with what they're running on offense. So Prime's hired a really good coaching staff.
I thought the same thing watching them play, and in particular, just watching the offense, the play design. I was really impressed. Let's go to another game this past week that you have ties to, Utah and the Florida Gators, and what a heck of a game Utah played. And how did you see that game? And I know you still have feelings for both schools, so it's kind of hard to analyze it. But hey, being on Big Noon Kickoff, that's your job to do.
Yeah. Well, Kyle Whittingham was my D coordinator. He's one of the best coaches I've ever been around. We're still very close. I played golf with, went out and saw him this summer. And Morgan Scally was my All-American safety for me, and now he's the defense coordinator. So they're as good as there is in the country right now, coaching the team. I am devastated about Florida. You know, you've lived in that city, Gainesville. I have, and I was thinking the other day, you don't have to hear to feel sorry for people. I want that guy to win. I want Nate Beard to win. I don't know him. I met him once, and we talked on the phone one time. But I'm also, I've been there, where you just feel like the world's caving in on you because it's not playing well, and they did not play well. They looked, they didn't look good at all. I mean, I was watching that game, and I think I sent you a text and said, "My gosh, Gainesville, Florida, that place has been spoiled." A guy named Steve Spurrier, who I love, came in there and changed that world, and that's the expectation now. And you don't get that. I remember walking in the restaurant, Bob, one time, my first year, for my radio show, and I got booed. I mean, they booed. Think about that. That's never happened to you. But I got booed my first year, and I thought, man, this is a tough tough place to be.
Well, you won 2 national championships there, so I don't think you'll be booed anymore. That's for sure. Yeah, one more to talk about because I know you've got to get going. The Duke Clemson game. Really surprised me how it just turned out the way it did. Not that Duke did well. I think Mike Elko's doing a heck of a job. They got a great quarterback. You've got a great quarterback, you've got a chance at any level. But how'd you see that game?
I watched the second half of that game, and I played Clemson a couple of times, did beat them, and they had first-round draft picks all over the field. I didn't see that. I'm going to watch more closely as the season wears on. I read today, because I have to do a little take on them on Big Noon, is that they haven't had a top 10 recruiting class the last 2 years. They've only had 2. Dabo Swinney does not believe in a transfer portal. They've only had 1 or 2 transfers. They don't believe in NIL, and there's a lot of people on him. But when you watch the game, I think Clemson. I'm not panicking on Clemson yet because they really should have won the game. They had 2 turnovers one inside the 5, one inside the 10. You score there, and I think they win. So it's not I don't think it's a complete panic, but I know we're bouncing around, but you watch Florida State. Florida State beat LSU. I think Duke had a hell of a game. They played well, but when you turn the ball over twice going in, you're not going to win. And so I think Clemson will somehow rebound, but I'm not sure they got that same. You're not going to see that NFL. Maybe they are, but I didn't feel it watching that game. The NFL draft picks all over the field like they used to have.
Right, I agree. Last couple questions, real fast. Who's your biggest influence? As a coach, as a person, and outside of your father. I know parents are always right there, but who had the biggest impact on you?
I grew up in the 10-year war with Bo and Woody, so I'm an Ohio guy like you. I grew up 40 minutes from you.
Northeast Ohio.
Earl Bruce followed Woody Hayes as the coach. He's passed away now, but he was an incredible mentor, and Lou Holtz was an incredible mentor. I still talk to Coach Holtz. But those guys were the guys that, really helped set a foundation for the principles, the culture, the way we went about things whenever I had a problem. Those were the 2 guys that I would reach out to. Great mentors, great people, and I love them both for it.
Yeah, that's awesome. My mentor, as you know, is Coach Spurrier, as much as anybody. But last question, real fast. Who are a couple of the best competitors or players you've gone against? As I know none of us want to pick our own best players. Who are a couple of the more challenging players that you had to work against?
Well, what a great question. I go back to because I had to do that for a Big Ten Network of who were the hardest guys to prepare for. Do you remember Trace McSorley for Penn State?
Oh yeah,
Man, was he something. He didn't make it very long. I don't know if he's still in the NFL or not, but the respect I had for that guy because he just wouldn't stop. He's one of those players that maybe wasn't the most talent, but I always said, give me a competitor over talent anytime, and he was an extreme competitor. I would say Drew Peppers. Do you remember him at the Wolverines? And I was in charge of special teams my entire career. He's the best punt returner I've ever seen. And I did all kinds of – we beat him in 2016, and we held him to 0 return yards. And I've never spent so much time with a group of players. I did those bunch of wild formations, hoping they wouldn't cover down. Right. And so they didn't. And we had 5 pre-releasers to get on that cat, and we held them to 0 return yards. So there were 2 off the top of my head that I thought, I'll tell you who else. Sam Bradford. We got to play him in a national title game against you guys, and my gosh, that kid was a competitive maniac. And that team was your 3 technique also, McCoy.
Gerald McCoy, yeah.
Yeah, that guy. I remember our offensive line coach looked at me getting ready for the game, said, I don't know if we can block him. And, that's not the answer I want to hear a week before the game. we had Pouncies, too, so that was a great battle in there with those guys. But those
that was a hell of a game, national championship, 27-17, and you guys did the job, no doubt about it. That hurt, and our player Sam Bradford was in disbelief after the game because he hadn't had really that happen to him that way. So
your tailback didn't play. I think that was very undervalued. Yeah, that was undervalued because there was a couple plays there. I remember obviously you relive it over and over again. If that running back, what was his name again?
DeMarco Murray.
Yeah, he was special, and he got hurt. I can't remember when he got hurt, but he didn't play in that game.
Yeah, that hurt us in the short yardage there on the goal line, definitely. And you got Percy Harvin back, who missed part of the year.
Yeah, he missed the game before.
I'm making all the excuses now. All right, tell me who your foursome is here that you're getting ready to go golf with there in Colorado.
Brady Quinn, I'm finding out, is that he won the Barefoot Classic, the member guest at Muirfield. So we're going to play with him. I guess Bruce Feldman is like a low handicap guy. Mark Ingram, our new colleague, that he's a good player, and I think that's it. So there's four of us going to go play Sanctuary, which I guess is a top 50 course in the country.
Absolutely. Well, tell those guys hello, and I'm going to have a chance to maybe be with Big Noon Kickoff at OU Cincinnati if that ends up happening. If you end up going to Cincinnati,
I hope it does, brother.
All right, man. Thanks for joining us, Urban.
Let's do it again.
All right.